I have with me here in the game land basically all that is in the game. This is Dr. Brian Price, and Dr. Price, would you mind sort of stepping us through the legacy, the saga that is your personal collection, as I understand it, this historical assembly of NHL All-Star jerseys. So I hear it starts, of course, with Ace Bailey.
Yeah, the actual All-Star games start there. The collection started in different areas, pick up one and another, and then eventually trying to get the string. But prior to the actual All-Star game, there were 3 benefits games.
Okay.
And the first one that they held was in 1934. Eddie Shore viciously checked Ace Bailey, ended his career, and they did an All-Star game, the Toronto Maple Leafs versus the rest of the NHL. I have the NHL. I've never seen available an actual Toronto Maple Leafs which had across the chest Ace.
Okay.
And it was blue and white. Okay. So that's the first one. And then the second one is Howie Morenz passed away after being injured in a hockey game. He had an infection and then eventually died. And in Montreal Forum had a memorial game for him. And that's Cy Wentworth, who's a Hall of Famer. That's his jersey from that game. And the third is the Babe Siebert Memorial Game, which was 1939, and that's Earl Siebert, no relation, different spelling of the name. That's his jersey, and I'm not so sure that there are 3 out there in any other collection of the 3 memorial games before the NHL started their All-Star games. The NHL started their games in 1947.
Okay. So explain this break to me, as I understand it. 39. It's not like you're missing items. It was just sort of ceased because of the war, presumably.
No, they had the game in 34, a game in 37, a game in 39, and then I guess the NHL decided, what a great idea, let's have an All-Star game. Okay. So they started in 1947.
Okay.
And the Edgar Laprade is my 47. The game was in Toronto. Actually, the first 3 games were in Toronto, and these jerseys are similar. The word has it, and it's never been confirmed, that they wore the same jerseys for the 2 years.
Okay.
My understanding was they didn't. I got the second one, my 1948, from Frank Brimsick directly. And if we turn that around, you'd see a quote on the back. It has a big 0 because he was called Mr. Zero because he had a lot of shutouts, whatever.
Right.
So Frank told us that was his 48 jersey. That's how we did it. Starting in 1949, they made it a lot easier to collect because they put the year right on the crest of the jersey. Right. And that's Sid Abel's. Programs from some of the games as well. And then 1950, and that one's Doug Bentley's. What happened after 1950 was they started recirculating the jerseys every year. So I stopped the collection from around 1951 for a while because I really couldn't tell who the player was. As an example, Jean Beliveau wore number 4, but so did Moose Vasco for Chicago Blackhawks. So no one could confirm whether it was a Beliveau jersey or a Vasco jersey. So I really stopped the collection for a while and picked it back up in the late 70s. So the next one is fairly significant because they're back-to-back. And that is the 1980 All-Star Game at the Joe Louis Arena. And the significance of those pair is it's Gordie Howe's last All-Star Game.
Okay.
And Wayne Gretzky's first All-Star Game.
So we have kind of an alpha and omega situation happening.
So there's Gordie, and they played on opposite teams to opposite conferences.
Very cool. So we have Lemieux, Jaromir Jagr.
And then it's sort of the current. And although I'm proud of the fact that I have a whole run of them, there's nothing really significant about any of the jerseys.
Other than that, they stem from the originals there.
Yeah, and so I have probably every significant player from different years. So I brought the Lemieux out, and I brought the Jagr out. We brought out a Korea and several others. But it was very, very, very easy to trace them from the Detroit game all the way up until the present because the jerseys were significantly different, and I believe that the players wore more than one jersey during an All-Star game, and so there are more of them around. So it's not as if if you miss it, you can't get another one.
Sure.
So much different, more difficult to the vintage ones. But there was that period of time there where they just recycled the jerseys, where you really couldn't tell the year and you really couldn't tell the player.
Right.
And so I just decided that it was such a mishmash, I would just leave it alone.
Yeah, just kind of squash it at that point. Well, this is, Brian, an impressive collection, and as sort of what you were saying earlier, is in the game is sort of able to do what it does, and that's specialize in the sweetest and sickest, to use a phrase, a contemporary phrase, of memorabilia and materials in the hobby.
Well, come back in the spring and you'll see another display.